Okay, it is test review day. Before I get started, remember this test is on cubic and quartic functions. That's what the review is going to start with. Then it goes to quadratic functions, where we found the standard form, factored form, vertex form, where we could find the x-intercepts, or the roots, or the solutions, or the zeros, or the y-intercept, or a vertex, which was our max or min. And then we went to quadratic formula. And then we were introduced to the imaginary numbers with I, and then the complex numbers. So that is everything that's on this test. So I'm going to start with the review. Start with number 1, and this is a cubic function. And I know that because it goes increasing, decreasing, increasing. So it changes direction 3 times. So the degree is 3. Remember, it's not x cubed, it's not cubic, it is 3. The name of it is cubic. Okay, degree 3, name cubic. All right, so the first thing it wants us to do is list our points that we're going to use to find the function. So we're going to pick our zeros where it crosses the x to start with. Okay, first of all, go back and tell me how many points do I need? Number of points needed. We have a degree of 3. So points are 1 more. So you need 4 points. So I've got 1, 2, 3, and I'm going to get the other one where that crosses the y. So I've got 4 points. So that one is at -8, 0. That's on the x. The next one I have is on the y, so it's 0 and it's 15. Make sure you're checking your scale on where these are, because that went by 5s, and this goes by 1. So I'm at 1, 2, 3, 0, and then I'm at 6, 0. So I have 1, 2, 3, 4 points. Now, you put those in your calculator. Stat, edit. L1 is your x, L2 is your y. Get those points put in. Then you use your calculator to find the function by doing stat, calc, cubic. And it will give you your function rule, which is, and I'm going to use decimals, 0.10 x cubed minus 0.10 x squared minus 5.625 x plus 15. So for number 1, we determined it was cubic by the 3 changes. It has a degree of 3. We determined how many points we needed based on the degree of 3. We need 1 more than our degree. So we had to have 4 points. We plugged those points into our calculator, stat, edit, L1, L2. After we got them in our L1, L2, we did stack, calc, cubic, and got our function rule. You should be able to do a problem just like that for the test. Now, let's go to number 2. Consider the graph of this function. Now, this is estimating. You do not have to use your calculator for this at all. The first thing it asks us is the degree. 1, 2, 3, 4. 4 degrees, which we will name it. That is called quartic. It doesn't ask for it, but just as a reminder. And explain your reasoning why you know it's 4 degrees. It changes 4 times. It goes up, down, or increasing, decreasing, increasing, decreasing. Okay. Estimate the coordinates or the points of your maximum. How many maximums do I have? I have 1 and then another one. Remember, it's your top of your peaks. So estimate it. I'm at -4, 8. -4 on the x, 8 on my y. I'm at 3, 8 for the other one. All right, estimate the points that are the minimums. It goes to the valley right here. So really, it's probably about half back this way at -4. If you put 0, -4, I'm okay, or -0.5 and -4, because it really is a little over. It's not directly on the y, but we're estimating. Estimate the zeros. Zeros are the same thing as roots, solutions, x-intercept. So now where does it cross the x this time? Here, 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 and here. So 4, 5, -5, 0, -2, 0, 1, 0, and 4, 0. Okay. So we have our maximum, 2 pop points, the minimum, the lowest. Our zeros are on the x-axis. Keyword, estimate, estimate, estimate. You don't have to put this in your calculator and do stack calc. You just follow this. Number 3. Write a rule for a cubic function that has zeros only at 3, 0, and -2, 0. Explain your reasoning. We talked about this. You work backwards. I need cubic, so I'm going to need a degree of 3, which means I need an x, and an x to get x cubed. I have 3, 0. So if I use that, that would be x minus 3 as a factor. -2, 0, if I work backwards, would be x plus 2. If I only use what I have here, I would just get x squared. How do I make that cubic? I square one of them. And it could be that it's the other one. So these, either one of those could be my answer. You just go back and get the factors from 3, 0 and -2, 0. But because it's not a quadratic, it's not squared, it's cubic, it's 3, you've got to square one of these to get your 3 x's. Okay, number 4. We have a function. Again, it's cubic, has a degree of 3. It wants to know the zeros, so set the factors equal to 0. X plus 5 equals 0. So x equals -5. X minus 3 equals 0. X equals 3. Those are your zeros. -5 and 3. That's where it would cross the x-axis. And we already said the degree was 3. That's all there is to number 4. Okay, number 5. You've got a quadratic function, x squared minus 4x plus 8. You've got to rewrite the function rule in vertex form, which means you are going to complete the square. This is half it, square it, and subtract it. Okay, so I'm going to come down here and do A. I've got x squared minus 4x plus 8. Now, you rewrite it first, x squared minus 4x plus blank plus 8. Now we have to half it, square it, and subtract it. So we're halving the 4. So half of 4 is 2. 2 squared is 4. So 4 goes here and then subtract it. Now we have to factor this so it looks like our vertex form, which is that form. Okay, so I've got to get my x, whatever x and the number, squared. So here's going to be x, and you use that sign minus 2 squared, and 8 minus 4. So x minus 2 squared plus 4. Okay, so that is in vertex form. We completed the square from standard form and got it to vertex. Now, does this graph have a maximum or a minimum? We look at what's sitting in front of our x. So, a positive is sitting there, so if it's positive, we have a minimum. Now, what is our point? Remember, it's opposite of h, and k is our vertex. So h is -2, so it's going to be 2 and 4. That's your minimum. And I got it from here and here in your vertex form. The opposite of h is 2, and then k is 4. So in this one, you took standard form, completed the square, halved it, squared it, subtracted it to get your vertex form. Then you found your vertex, which is the opposite of h and k. All right. Remember, at any point in time, she can stop the video. Y'all can ask questions. You can rewind it if you missed it. So use it to your advantage. And plus, this was on my website, so if you miss anything in class, you can use this at home to study. All right, number 6, we have a quadratic function, x squared plus 6x minus 4. Again, we're going to complete the square. So I'm going to do my work here. I'm going to run out of space. Let me not do that. Let me go back up there. I think I can do it in here. All right, x squared plus 6x minus 4. I'm going to rewrite it first. X squared plus 6x plus blank minus 4. Now we have to half it. So half of 6 is 3. 3 squared is 9. So we're going to put 9 here and subtract 9. Now I got to factor that part. So I get x plus 3 squared, and what's negative 4, negative 9? Minus 13. Okay, now does it have a max or a minimum? Well, positive is sitting in front of that, so I have a minimum. Now what's my vertex? Oh, that's on there twice. Just ignore that. Okay, determine the points of the vertex. Okay, you have opposite of h and k. The opposite of h is going to be negative 3. Just take k, so it's negative 13. So you've got negative 3, negative 13. Now, solve this equation. X squared plus 6x minus 4 equals 0. If you want to do, you can't factor it. You could do quadratic formula here, but we can also just take x plus 3 squared minus 13. So set our vertex form equal to 0 and solve for x. Okay, so if we do that, you're going to add the 13 to both sides. So you're left with x plus 3 squared equals 13. Then to get rid of that square, we square root. So we get x plus 3 equals the square root of 13. Then we still have to subtract, plus or minus. Oops, almost forgot that. Subtract the 3. So now we get our two answers. The square root of 13 minus 3. The negative square root of 13 minus 3. Okay? So now if you put that in your calculator, you should get the square root of 13 is 3.6, so take away 3 and you get 0.61. If you have negative square root of 13 and take away 3, you get negative 6.6. So that would be your two answers. Okay, number 7. We have a quadratic function, x squared minus 10x plus 3. That's in standard form. First, we're going to complete the square. So we've got x squared minus 10x plus 3. So we're going to rewrite it x squared minus 10x plus blank plus 3. Half of 10 is 5. 5 squared is 25. So add 25, subtract 25. Sorry. Okay, now, when you factor that, the x squared minus 10x plus 25, to get it back to vertex, factor this, you get x minus 5 squared minus 22. 3 minus 25 is 22. Again, it's positive, so we have a minimum. And the vertex is opposite of h and k. So we got 5 and negative 22. Now, we've added something to this one. the x-intercepts. So I've got to solve my vertex to get there. So solve for x using the vertex form. So we've got x minus 5 squared minus 22 equals 0. So add 22 to both sides. You're going to square root plus or minus 22. Add 5 to both sides. So x equals the square root of 22 plus 5. X equals negative square root of 22 plus 5. And your answers, if you put the square root of 22 in your calculator, you get 4.69 plus 5, which gives you 9. We'll just do 9.7. On this side, if you do negative square root of 22 and add 5, you get 0.31. Okay. What are our y-intercepts? Well, just one. What is the y-intercept? The easiest way to find your y-intercept is in standard form. You have standard form. That's what we started with. So it's x squared minus 10x plus 3. So your y-intercept is your c, so it's 0, 3 is my y-intercept from here. Okay, now remember, you can check every one of these answers in your calculator when you put y equals x squared minus 10x plus 3 in and graph it. You can find your minimum, you can find where it crosses the x, and you can find your y. So if you are worried about your answers, then put it in your y equals and make sure it matches. Okay. Moving on to number 8. Rewrite each quadratic in vertex form, which means you complete the square. So all you have to do here is complete the square. So I'm going to rewrite it. Put my blank in first. Then I'm going to half 16 and get 8. 8 squared is 64. So I add in 64, subtract 64, half it, square it, subtract it. Factors of that would be x plus 8 squared minus 4. And that's all it wanted me to do. From that, you could easily get the vertex, negative 8, negative 4, but it doesn't ask you for that. Okay, next we got x squared minus 6x plus blank plus 10. Half of 6 is 3. 3 squared is 9. 9, subtract. X minus 3 squared minus 1. No, plus 1. 10 minus 9 is 1. Again, vertex would be opposite of this, so it'd be 3 and 1. All right, last one. Plus blank minus 10. Half it equals 4. 4 squared equals 16. factor this, negative 26. Okay, x plus 4 squared minus 26. The vertex would be, opposite of h would be negative 4 and negative 26. Okay, number 9. Now these we have to solve each one. So the first thing we need to remember here is solving. So if you go in your notebook, we had a day where we said solving quadratics. If you have standard form and cannot be factored, you use quadratic formula. This is in vertex form, so we just solve it. Just solve for x. This one, we got to make sure it equals 0. But this is going to be quadratic formula. Let me rewrite that. The last one, quadratic formula. All right. Quadratic formula is opposite of b over 2a plus or minus square root b squared minus 4ac all over 2a. So the first thing you do is a, b, c. 2, 5, 1. Opposite of b, negative 5. 2 times 2. Plus or minus square root b squared is 25 minus 4ac over 4. Now I'm going to get that out of my way. Y'all got that written down a lot of places. It's up on the front board too. All right, so we got a negative 5 over 4 plus or minus 25 minus 8 gives you what? $17. So we have to do finish the math. So if you take the square root of 17 and you get 4.12 and divide that by 4. So we're going to have negative 5 divided by 4, which is negative 1.25. So I'm going to do negative 1.25 plus the 4.12 divided by 4, and I got negative 0.22. Now I'm going to take this negative 1.25 again, but I'm going to subtract the 4.12 divided by 4 this time. Negative 2.28. Okay, so quadratic formula, we solved it. We got what x equals 2 times. Okay, we're going to solve this next one. It's in vertex form, so we're just going to add 10 to both sides. X minus 7 squared equals 10. You got to square root it. Equals plus or minus the square root of 10. We got to add 7 to that. So we got x equals square root of 10 plus 7. X equals the negative square root of 10 plus 7. All right, so square root of 10 plus 7 gives me 10.16. Negative square root of 10 plus 7 gives me 3.84. Okay. Next one, we need to get it in standard form equal to 0. So subtract 4 from both sides. So you end up with 3x squared plus 3x minus 4 equals 0. A, B, C. 3, 3, negative 4. Opposite of B, negative 3 over 2A. Plus or minus, B squared is 9 minus 4AC over 6. Okay, we get negative 3 over 6 plus or minus the square root of 57 over 6. So x equals negative 1/2 plus the square root of 57 divided by 6. X equals negative 1/2 minus the square root of 57 over 6. So the square root of 57 divided by 6 is 1.26. Okay, 1.26 is what I get when I divide that on my calculator. Now if I do negative 1/2 plus 1.26, I get, let's see, negative 0.5 plus 1.26, I get 0.76. Okay, and then for this one, I would get negative 0.5 minus 1.26 and get negative 1.76. Okay, so those are your final answers for C. Now I'm looking at D. Again, it's going to be quadratic formula. I'm going to need to move these answers in here so they're out of my way. Okay, now we got x squared minus 4x plus 29. So A is 1, B is negative 4, C is 29. Now, opposite of B is positive 4 over 2 times 1 plus or minus. B squared is 16 minus 4A C over 2. Now, make sure, remember, 16 minus 4 times 1 times 29, you get negative 100. Okay, so you've got 4 over 2, so let's just go ahead and make that 2 plus or minus negative 100 over 2. Now, this is what x equals. So, what do we break negative 100? It used to be a non-real, but we know we can make it pop out the I, so it becomes 10I, because the square root of 100 is 10, and the negative went out with the I. So we got x equals 2 plus 10I over 2. X equals 2 minus 10I over 2. You can simplify. 10 over 2 is 5. So this becomes 2 plus 5I. And this becomes 2 minus 5I. Okay. Now, so that was x squared minus 4x plus 29 equals 0. We got x equals 2 plus 5I and x equals 2 minus 5I. Don't forget to simplify at the end. All right, so that was all quadratic formula solving, and also when we had a vertex form and solving for x. Okay, number 10. Now, we are adding and subtracting complex numbers. So, you add like terms. So 2 plus 1 is 3. 3i and 4i is 7i. Change your signs here, so you get 2 plus 3i, because this is subtraction, minus 1 minus 4i. So 2 minus 1 is 1. 3i minus 4i is negative I. So that's your adding and subtracting, number 10. Okay. Number 11. We're going to multiply. So we got a lobster claw. So you're going to do 8 times 2, 8 times negative 3i, 5i times 2, and 5i. So remember, double distribution. The 8's got to be multiplied times both of them, and 5i has to be multiplied by both of them. So you get 16 minus 24i plus 10i minus 15i squared. Don't forget here, I squared equals negative 1. Okay. 8 times 2 is 16. 8 times 3i, negative 24i. 5i times 2i, 10i. 5i times negative 3i is negative 15i squared. Now combine like terms, so we end up with 16 minus 14i plus 15. So 15 and 16 would be 31 minus 14i. Okay. 31 minus 14i. Now, multiply. Negative 6 times 5 is negative 30. Negative 6 times negative 3i is negative 18i. 2i times 5 is 10i. 2i times negative 3i is negative 6i squared. Combine your like terms. Negative 30 minus 8i plus 6. So negative 24 plus, oh wait, that's positive, sorry y'all, positive 18i. So this would be 28i. Sorry. Okay. Negative times a negative was a positive. Okay, so that gave me 28i. So it's negative 24 plus 28i. All right, so make sure I messed it up in the beginning. So go back and make sure you got negative 6 times 5 was negative 30. Negative 6 times negative 3 was a positive 18i. 2i was 10i. Negative 6i squared. So this became 28i when you combined them. And that became a positive 6 because I squared was negative 1. So negative 30 plus 6 is negative 24. Okay. Next, you got to write that twice. So we're going to multiply. Negative 5 times negative 5 is 25. Negative 5 times a 6i is negative 30i. 6i times negative 5 is negative 30i. 6i times 6i is 36i squared. Okay, combine like terms. 25 minus 60i. They don't cancel. You got two negatives, so it becomes more negative. Minus 36. So you get negative 11 minus 60i. Okay. The next one, you just distribute the I to both. So you get 4i minus 2i squared, which equals 4i. And that's replaced with a negative 1, so that's going to be a positive 2. And we write it 2 plus 4i because we're doing it in the form of a complex number. A plus bi. So we want it to look like that order. 2 plus 4i. Okay. Number 12. These are all dividing. So the first thing we have to do is look at our bottom complex number, and we want the opposite. So our conjugate is 4 minus 3i. We multiply the top and the bottom by that. So lobster claw the top first. So you'll get 4, and you'll get negative 3i. You'll get 2i times that is 8i. And 2 times negative 3 is negative 6i squared. Okay, 4 minus 3i plus 8i minus 6i squared. Now, combine your like terms. So your top's going to look like this. 4 plus 5i, plus 6. So you got 10 plus 5i on top. Okay. Now, the bottom, we have a shortcut. Square the first number, 4 squared plus 3 squared. So you get 16 plus 9, which is 25. So 25 goes on the bottom. Now you got to simplify. 10 over 25 simplifies to 2 over 5 plus I over 5. Or 1, let's just do 1 over, let me erase. 1 over 5i. Oops, I erased 25. So don't forget to simplify when you get to that point. So 2/5 plus 1/5 I. All right, B. Looking at the bottom, the conjugate, the opposite of 2i, is negative 2i. So you're multiplying top and bottom by negative 2i. Okay? So, Negative 2i times 9 is negative 18i. Negative 2 times 3i is negative 6i squared. Okay? That'll give us negative 18i plus 6. So my top is going to be 6 plus 18i. The bottom is just that number squared, so 2 squared equals 4. So you're dividing by 4. Because you don't have but one number, so you just square that one number for your shortcut. Now simplify. 6 over 4 is 3/2. Oh, it's minus 18i. Oops, when I rewrote it, I put a plus. Sorry, fix it. 6 minus 18i. When I went from here to here, I lost my minus. So make sure you got your minus here. So it's going to be minus 9 over 2i when you simplify. Okay. Now, division again. Find your conjugate of the bottom. So it's going to be 1 minus 2i because it's the opposite. Multiply by 1 minus 2i, top and bottom. Now, lobster claw, 5 on top, negative 10i. I times 1 is I, and I times negative 2 is negative 2i squared. Okay, so my top looks like this. 5 minus 9i plus 2, or 7 minus 9i. This is the top. Now bottom, do our shortcut. 1 squared is 1, 2 squared is 4, so the bottom equals 5. And you cannot simplify that, so our answer is 7 minus 9i over 5. Okay. Now, the ones left are multiple choice. You're adding, subtracting, and subtracting in 13, 14, and 15. So in the first one, you're just going to add like terms. So 5 and 2 is 7. 6 minus 3 is 3i. So choose C. Subtraction, I got to change my signs. So it's minus 3 minus 7i. 2i and 7i is negative 5i. 1 minus 3 is negative 2. So negative 2 minus 5i is D. Okay, number 15. You are subtracting. So I'm rewriting. 2 plus 6i minus 3 plus 5i minus 5 plus 3i. Change your signs and then you can combine like terms. 2, negative 3, and negative 5. 2, negative 3, negative 5 would be negative 6. Now, 6i, 5i, 3i. So 14i. So negative 6, 14i is C. All right. So adding, subtracting, and then subtracting an extra one there. Okay, so C is 13, 14 is D, and 15 is C. Okay, 16, you got 8 times 2 minus 3i plus 2 times 4 plus 2i minus 6. So we want to first distribute the 8, distribute the 2, and then in the end you subtract the 6. So we've got 8 times 2 is 16. 8 times 3i is negative 24i. 2 times 4 is 8. And 2 times 2i is 4i. And then we got a minus 6. So you've got 16 minus 24i plus 8 plus 4i minus 6. So we got 16, 8, and take away 6. So 18, and then negative 24i and 4i would be negative 20i. So A. Okay, multiply. So we're going to lobster claw or distribute the numbers twice. 5 times 3 is 15. 5 times 3i is 15i. 2i times 3 is 6i. 2i times 3i is 6i squared. Fifteen plus 15i plus 6i plus 6i squared. Now you've got to combine like terms, so 15 plus 21i minus 6. 15 minus 6 is 9 plus 21i. So it is C. $18. Again, distribute the 6, distribute the 2i. 6 times I is 6i. 6 times negative 4 is negative 24. 2i times I is 2i squared. 2i times negative 4 is negative 8i. So this time our I squared was not at the very end because they flipped the way it was written. They put the I minus 4 first. So that put our 2i squared here. So we've got a 6i and a negative 8i. So that's going to give us negative 2i. We got 24, and this is really minus 2 when you multiply by the negative 1. So you get negative 26. So I'm going to keep it in the order we like it, even though they put it in a different order this time. It really should be A plus BI, but they switched it and put negative 2i minus 26. So the answer is A. So that multiple choice is opposite of what I've been saying the form looks like. Okay, the next one, you got to write it twice because you're squaring it. So lobster, or distribute the 6 and distribute the 3i. So you get 36, negative 18i, negative 18i, plus 9i squared. So you get 36 minus 36i minus 9. Combine your like terms, you get 27 minus 36i, which is D. Okay, 27 minus 36i, D. So 18 was A, 19 was D. All right, 20, 21, and 22. We are down to the end. So again, multiplying. 12 times negative 5 is negative 60. 12 times 4i is 48i. 3i times negative 5 is negative 15i. 3i times 4i is 12i squared. Okay. So, combine your like terms. You'll get 33i, negative 60 plus 33i minus 12. So it's negative 72 plus 33i. So C is the correct answer. Now, 1 plus 2i over 2 minus 3i. So our conjugate, if you look at the bottom, would be 2 plus 3i. So that's what I'm multiplying by. So 1 plus 2i over 2 minus 3i times 2 plus 3i on top and 2 plus 3i on the bottom equals lobster claw 2 plus 3i plus 4i plus 6i squared. So the top looks like this, 2 plus 7i minus 6. So negative 4 plus 7i is what's on top. And the bottom's going to be 2 squared plus 3 squared, which is 4 plus 9, or 13. Okay, so negative 4 plus 7i over 13. Okay, the very last one, 4i times 12 and 4i times negative 7i. So we get 48i minus 28i squared. So it would be positive 28 plus 48i. And again, they switched. No, it's right order. Sorry. 28 plus 48i would be B. Okay, that wraps up the whole test review. So you need to make sure you can do every one of these problems. And if you can, the test tomorrow will be very easy for you. Go back through. Remember, you get to use your foldable that has standard form, vertex form, and standard form, vertex form, and factored form. So you've got all the forms. They're on the board. You've got your quadratic formula on the board. You just have to remember how do you solve which ones. If it's vertex form, you set it equal to 0 and solve for x. If it's standard form, you can't factor it. You use quadratic formula. If it is a factored form, you just set those factors equal to 0. And if you can factor it, by all means factor it. So go back over all of this and make sure you're ready for the test tomorrow. Have a great day.